Nothing is really particularly permanent when it comes to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. We've seen it. Evidence has been everywhere around changes in rewards, changes in difficulty, and potentially changes in the length of journey guide events. We also spoke a little bit about an unkillable Carson Teva setup with his new FDC, and the reason we brought that video to light is so that CG can fix things like this. And I'm happy to say that right after that video got posted, or at least within a 24-hour period, guess what? CG fixed it. Or they tried. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen of the tribe, to another Galaxy of Heroes video with me, your bald boy Scribe. How the devil are we doing? Ladies and gentlemen, you may have noticed, if you are one of the top echelons of players in Whaley Boy McWhale territory of the Coliseum, you might notice that when you go in and you beat tier 6 of the Crate Dragon and jump into tier 7, you get your booty whooped. That's right, you get absolutely spanked, and it's not a particular... I know, right? It feels your pain. Essentially, CG has done a little bit of rebalancing to certain tiers of difficulty when it comes to Coliseum. Let's check it out. So this post came out yesterday from Mr. Meathead himself, Capital Games' one and only community manager. Coliseum balance adjustments. Adjusted balance for all Coliseum bosses at level 6 and above. Tier 6 will see a score improvement at error level of 60 plus. Tier 7 will see a score improvement at error level 70 plus, etc, etc, etc. This sort of ties into that balancing readjustment that they were looking to do for the Coliseum, because frankly we were beating it too quickly. CG didn't like that. I mean, to be fair, I don't really have an issue with this. This is a sort of like community-wide balancing adjustment. Everybody is impacted exactly the same. It doesn't matter when you beat these tiers of difficulties, so long as you do beat them before the end of Coliseum. If everybody is on an even keel, this is absolutely fine. Dev note, when Coliseum launched, our initial balance pass focused on the early tiers. With this update, we've completed a balance pass on tiers 6 and above to better align their difficulty and scoring with the intended error level investment and overall progression. We will continue to monitor progress and feedback. Right, okay. So, this little update, known issue, solo Carson Teva is still undefeatable and the team is looking into it. I did message Meathead about this. I didn't really want to put it out there until it was out there and known, but hey, it is now known fully. We will talk a little bit about this, but there's one small problem with this adjustment, is that in the last 24 hours, there are certain people that were able to climb in Coliseum and get through to tier 7 and score a decent score, and then halfway through that, the patch came in, rebalanced it, and there are people that are going to be slightly behind. That will have a minor knock-on impact on people's progress throughout the rest of the era, as certain people will have a very small, minor advantage that will sort of compound as they go into future eras, as they'll have higher error levels due to having more currency. It's not really going to impact until we get Grogu next week, right? Because we are currently constrained by Xaereth ability modules in order to take our rather wonderful marquee unit, Mara Jade Skywalker, beyond error level 55. Nobody right now can proceed past 55, as these Xereths are a premium currency that we cannot purchase. They're only available through tiers of the marquee, all right? And we don't have a marquee active right now. So, that being said, let's talk a little bit around about this Carson Teva update. Now, I do want to give CG props. Where it is due, they did go in and they took a look at that silly interaction between Omega and unkillable units. All right, so Omega captives her allies and they can't die until everybody's captive. At least all the Bad Batch allies are captive. But if somebody else has some sort of datachron or some sort of effect where they can't die while allies are alive, it creates this situation where nobody can ever die ever. Whilst that sounds hilarious, in practice it's just ridiculous and it's bad for the game. So, there were some adjustments over here. Where is it? Omega Fugitive. This is a change that CG brought into the kit, and this is a good thing, right? Because what they should have done in the first instance was change how Omega's kit works with the captive mechanic, so that future FDCs that come out or datacrons that have some sort of clause around not being able to die whilst allies are alive does not have a negative impact with Omega Fugitive in particular. So they have changed her captive mechanic now. Captive now counts when an ally takes a turn, preventing a few overly creative escape plans, okay? Carson Tiva's Datacron unkillable state has been fixed. This hasn't, unfortunately, as we will show it right now. Now, there are a few problems still that remain, so we're going to go into it. There are a few problems with this. At the moment, the first and foremost one is, this is kind of dumb. People, we're just going to get this one out there. This is kind of dumb. Okay, so Carson Tiva, here's level 6 on the new FDC, which is a Colonel Ward FDC. Carson Tiva gains 30% offense each time he counterattacks until the end of the encounter, yada yada yada. Carson Tiva cannot be defeated while other allies are active. Equip. So what happens if we have no other allies, ladies and gentlemen? Well, let me tell you a story. A story about a bald Asian man. Am I allowed to say Asian? I am not even sure. A bald man with an FDC with no allies. Apparently, they just become the chunkiest of monkeys, and they are unable. They are unfazed. They are unfettered. They do not adhere to the rules of mortality. They are, in fact, invincible. And this is known about. I've spoken to CG about it. I said, something's going on. When Carson Tiva is solo with the FDC, for some reason, he just can't die. He just won't die. Like ever, and this will go on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Don't know if things like Great Mothers can still get rid of him if they reduce their max health. I don't think so. Can't be killed by insta-kills either, so that's a load of fun. Now, on the surface level, people can look at this and think, well, that's not really that bad, right? You can't set this on defense and leave him there. And whilst you're kind of right on that, you're not entirely right, okay? Because you could theoretically have a full New Republic team. What if you time out versus that full Republic team and Carson Tiva is still alive? Right? He can't die until all his allies are dead, so he's always going to be the last unit. But what if you time out? Or what if he, on his own, kills you, and then it's just a solo Carson Tiva left with this FDC? You're never going to be able to kill him. It's just impossible to beat, right? So there is that. Also, on the forefront, people could just use this on offense. I know, most likely, you're just going to time out. Unfortunately, the problems do not stop there. Let me show you. Because of the way they've changed the interaction of the kit for Omega Bad Batch, right? They've changed her captive thing to be like, oh, whenever any ally now takes a turn, it's going to take off those stacks of captive, right? We're just going to go in with a full Bad Batch team. I mean, we could even just go in with Carson Tiva. Let's be honest. Let's just grab Carson Tiva. Don't even need a full team. Now, this you can set on defense, and this will cause issues. I promise you this will cause issues. Because if you've got a full team on defense, let's just show it. Show rather than tell, Scribbly? So, with this setup, you would think that what would happen is eventually the captive would disappear on Omega Fugitive, right? Because, you know, every time Carson Tiva takes a turn, he's going to knock off a stack of this captive, right? Now, the problem is, he does actually have to take 10 turns. He has to take 10 turns. He has to take... Carson, you've got to take 10 turns. Carson, will you take 10 turns? Carson. I think we can see where this is going, right? Now, granted, I know not every team is going to turn meter control Carson into the ground, but they are forced to attack him. They can't really attack this captive unit because, you know, captive units can't be attacked, basically. So they have to hit him. So if anybody's got any sort of turn meter strip, or, you know, they've got a fracture or anything like that, he's never going to take the 10 turns to make the team killable. And he still can't be killed by insta-kills or anything like that. So whilst I agree that CG has made a concerted effort here to try and fix the problem, I think that the execution of said problem probably needs a little bit of work. Now, the reason, once again, ladies and gentlemen, that I am bringing this up is that I want to get this fixed before Territory War and Grand Arena comes around again. We have until Tuesday. So CG need to get a fix in for this in the next sort of 24 hours, hopefully, at least, at the very least, before lock-in for TW next week and the start of GAC. Because if this sort of thing is prevalent within GAC and within Territory Wars, that is a negative thing. With that in mind, should we do a little bit of naming and shaming? I haven't actually looked at insights, but I'm kind of curious to see how many people actually set an unkillable Carson team on defense. Okay, so let's see. It looks like 4 people. 4 people in total set it on defense. Now, a lot of people wouldn't be able to do this. You can see, look, they've even tried to use Treyer over here. Most people wouldn't have put this down on defense because in order for them to set it on defense, 1, they would have to know about it. 2, they would have to have already had Carson's FDC before the lock-in of 3v3 over a week ago. Unlikely, right? And they would have had to have had Carson Tiva, right? So let's firstly name and shame this individual. 15.9 million. Mini Turucano TSR. What guild are you in, buddy? You're in That's So Revan. You're a douche. All right, next person. Next one on our list, a 16.6 million. It's Bonky Head. He has got a bit of a bonky head of the Awakened Rebels. You're a douche. Next up, a 16.1 million player called Sweaty Nation from the Mighty Chlorians. Oh my lord, even the Mighty Chlorians, one of the oldest guilds in the game, has got a douchebag in their ranks, apart from me, of course. And then finally, who is this last person over here? Vikir of the Walking Death Squad. Ah, you're a douche as well. Lots and lots of douches. To be honest, I'm surprised there's only 4 douchebags in the world. I would have thought there would have been a few more. All right then, ladies and gentlemen of the tribe, that is going to about do it for today's episode. CG tried to do some good. They've not quite hit the mark here, but I am working with them. I'm not really working with them. I'm messaging them about any findings. If you find any other interactions that are crazy and busted like this, let's go ahead and get CG involved so that they can fix it and we can all have a better game experience. How does that sound? Sound good? Great. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all in the very next video. Peace out, and may the Force be with you.